What are the top 3 personal and professional conflicts that you see happening generally when it moves or a business moves from one generation to the next, between the two, either way, right? And how have you seen these generations manage or resolve or move ahead from or not resolve these conflicts, but personal and professional? I'd love your opinion on that.
I think the personal conflict between the generations has to do with personalities, right? So you're looking at the senior gen typically having a mindset that I have done this, I know what is to be done, okay? And why would you even do something differently, right? And that's where you would see many a talented next gen actually wanting to drop off from business completely. Right? So it's about losing your next gen if you're not going to allow them to make their own mistakes, right? We spoke about this mistakes part, but I think what we need to understand is the concept of similar to a stop loss in trading, right? So what is the maximum risk that you're willing to take? What's the maximum loss that will happen if somebody is going to make a certain a decision? And mind you, I would urge each one of you to think about, I think Dr. Arora spoke about what's called the 33-13-3 rule, okay, which is basically that 33% of the businesses survive to the next generation, the second generation, 13 to the third generation, and it's only 3%. This was some research which was done in the US, but of course, there are other kinds of research also which have contradicted it. Sure. I think what we need to understand as far as this personal professional conflict is concerned, especially for the current gen, is that is the concept of being in the family business important, or is it the concept of families in business being important, right? And that preposition of in makes all the difference in the world. So the personal conflict often arises because of the personality kind of differences. There is a generational gap on account of the access to technology, the kind of perspective that each one brings in. And professionally, of course, it's about, as Ashton rightly said, it is about not feeling valued, right? I don't know whether I understood it right, but what I have found with many a student of mine is that I'm trying so hard and yet I'm not being valued enough. I'm not allowed to feel like I have achieved something, right? And whatever I have achieved is kind of just put down as, ये तो हमने 2 दिन में कर लिया होता, right? Something like that. So I believe that it has to do with this whole concept of, again, an insecurity, right? It's like we as parents don't want our children to ever get hurt. But if you're not going to allow them to run and you're going to keep holding them when they're walking, they're never going to learn, right? So I believe that personal conflict, it comes, or even a professional conflict, comes out of this deep sense of wanting to protect the child and the child saying, let me be, right? Let me make the mistakes that you have probably made, right? And what I see. But I think this concept of stop loss, if you can think about it, and right now we are talking only about one parent and a child. What about family businesses which are far, far more complex? You have cousin consortiums. I have 7 guys, okay, from the next gen working together. I have people who are with 3 generations and 4 generations working together. Another piece on a lighter note again. We were doing this kind of a workshop for the senior gen, and I had the senior gen member sitting there with his nephew, right? And this was about handing over. It was about succession. And this man who was in his early 50s, he said, ma'am, I think I should have brought my father in here first because he has not yet handed over to me. And we are talking about me handing over to the next gen.